So I'm not sure if sometimes what I want to say is maybe sometimes it seems theoretical or it just kind of sounds nice. And this is one of the ideas that I felt that way about first. Well, first there's the truth in it, but then there's the part that I thought was a little theoretical, but it rings true to me after all. So I mean to present it then. So the part that I feel is true is that there's something like it's like a shadow pyramid. It's the pyramid, I guess, built into the ground. It's the part that you don't see. There is a bottom in almost every group in which we congregate. There's this shadow pyramid. There's the shadow of the pyramid, I guess. And it becomes a comfort to the group. This is why you have shitty leaders who are shitty. They put their time and effort into seeming good or strong, to seeming it. And the person who loses in these popularity contests becomes the person who's actually, instead of trying to seem it, they're really trying to be or do what is good, or actually cultivate that kind of strength and character. They're trying to actually do it for real. They care what is real more than what seems. But we have these terrible, terrible leaders, and they count on appealing to the lower nature of everybody around them by giving them a source of comfort in presenting to them their non-leader, who tends to be the high performer or the person of the actual quality of character that they're only imitating. So the part that seems theoretical about it, but it does ring more and more true to me, is the idea that that person has truly become a person of character. They've cultivated in them, and like all of us should do, and like we shouldn't want to wipe away in the human spirit, is this innate, this inner comedian, inner philosopher, inner poet. These are oriented around the truth. Not your superficial fucking image. It's killing us. So those people, they're starting at the end of the thing. I've said it that way before too. But they're oriented on how they're coming off. I like as much as possible, because I've had people trying to put me on the spot my whole life. I have it built into me to really just, as soon as I find myself caring how I look or seem, I am rejecting that. I do not want that in my fucking way of my thinking. So I don't even have anything planned out here. I honestly don't think this is not probably, I started doing these videos because I can't write everything. And all of this stuff comes from writing, and then the piece of writing just doesn't look perfect like I want it to. And I feel like I'm allowed to be more imperfect trying to speak it. So I'm referring to things that I've written on for years and years. But anyhow, I think it does seem better than theoretical. First, it's absolutely true that there exists this shadow, unspoken, out of the hierarchy, this inverted hierarchy. Who's on the bottom? It's the good person. These are the people that we push to the fringes in society. They have cultivated their inner comedian, inner philosopher, and inner poet. They're oriented around what is true, and often just sacrificing their image. So by not being a dirty damn liar like the Jesuits, sorry. You guys better just tell me, am I playing the wrong game? I mean, I'm really that thing that you imitate. So until I've got the formal agreement and you guys can actually speak to me directly, I'm not going to play along with something. I might be autistic or something. I don't know why I need things spelled out so literally. You do what you say you're going to do. Say what you mean what you say. That's how I am. That's how I was raised. Not like you guys. Sorry. Anyhow, because they don't desensitize their amygdala, because lying, especially to your benefit, will desensitize your amygdala over time. And I do believe, I've put it this way, so this sounds more theoretical, I think, though. that the brain runs on 2 gears. I don't know if that is perfectly the way that I'd want to put that it runs on 2 gears. But you have your amygdala, you have your hippocampus. And those people who are oriented around the outcome, I think that they're starting in their hippocampus, where they have the storehouse of how to be and how to seem, and which things are verified as correct to say and shit. They're going there where it already exists. But the person who navigates, I guess, off the cuff and looks a little unrefined doing it probably, is oriented around the truth of where they stand from. I think better than the idea of 2 gears, I never actually followed up on the idea, but I tried to say to my little girlfriend out there that the way, because this is a smart person, but it doesn't look like that sometimes. People, I'm telling you, the smarter person is willing to look stupid, get caught up in their passions or whatever. I think that we're the better drivers. The amygdala, the amygdala-oriented person, the person coming from their passions, I think that they're the better driver. And then these outcome-oriented people, the Jesuits, the fake leaders, the political types, who should not be owners of anything. They should be supervisors, because you want people who posture, I guess. But, because then people listen, I guess. They fall behind the comfort of, this is what the big bully in the fucking group says. We're going to conflate dominance with goodness. Somehow, I mean, you think that they're more responsible, but they're really guarded against their lack of development. I think the sheltering and the privilege of avoiding life experience really has people like insecure about a lacking sense of development. And people like pedestalize their ability to do anything adult then. But they do it by pointing to someone as unfit in the same regard. So what are some of these key markers these hurdles that we clear in our maturation as a regular individual? Maybe learning to drive. You know, I'm a better driver than all you fuckers. Oh, well, I am. I don't know if it looks that way. I don't care how it looks, but okay, so the driving, staying informed and up to date on current events, or feeling like you understand something. I mean, the person who postures, they're really guarded about a lack of sense of development. And they'll repeat some shit that they heard on the fucking news, and then feel like looking informed or seeming informed is better than their ability to even like engage any actual critical thought on any matter, which we need people to do. Driving, cooking a meal for yourself. I mean, they'll want to say that you can't cook, that you can't do any of these adult things, but they're needing to push this and throw those stones first, because they're literally insecure about anything that might mark them as having developed. Really, that's what it is. You want to know how to make an authoritarian, you have them feel really insecure about their sense of development, so they're hiding it, but they hide it by showing you that lack of development in someone else. So really, the ability to not desensitize your amygdala and hang on to your emotionality, but actually raise your rationality to meet your emotionality. Instead of just numbing your emotionality and then, I guess, appearing cool-headed and level-headed, but really losing all of that passion that makes you able to, first of all, navigate your island of knowledge, to navigate your map that you hold in your big, beautiful hippocampus. I'll just try to get back to, I'll try to introduce my whole point. This orientation around the truth, these people who do, they get squashed down by people who've literally lost that touch, that connection with their emotionality, and now they're going to count it as a marker of maturity. They want to show this as being unhinged or being it's the sociopath versus the psychopath, if you want to consider either being ruled by your emotionality, like an overgrown 2-year-old, like a psychopath would be, or instead of raising your actual rationality to meet your emotionality, they literally numb their emotionality. And then they seem level-headed and cool-headed. They're fucking sociopathic is what they are. They're oriented around the outcome, they're oriented around how things seem, and they use correctness from their environment to count themselves as right or smart or capable. But they're a fucking cancer on society. And they do go after the person who's going to bear the weight of the truth. Man, you get all these scarecrows and shit put up before you. I was never afraid of the fucking flying monkeys. My mother was afraid of the flying monkeys. I was afraid, and I'm talking about Wizard of Oz. The only part of that movie that scared me was the scarecrow with no brain getting pulled apart by the monkeys. That was the only image in that whole thing that scared me. But the monkeys themselves did not scare me. The scarecrow getting ripped apart or getting set on fire, that scared me. That scared me. But those monkeys, you know, Power Rangers. So I was a kid when Power Rangers came on, and I liked Power Rangers. But there's a lot of like, they like modeled like Rita Repulsa, the villain in the first like season or whatever of Power Rangers. She's kind of doing the Wicked Witch, and she does a really good job. So I forget the name of the actress who was the Wicked Witch, but man, was she so good. Oh my gosh, she is so good, that actress. But the fucking monkeys, they're dumbasses, and so were the putties in Power Rangers. So the more idiots you have trying to do your bidding, I mean, you're showing a lack of quality. I feel like that's the Jesuit order. Sorry, assholes. I'm sorry. I want to get along. I don't think I'm going to keep making these videos, though. I just felt like I needed to make one. I'm lovesick. I'm hurt about something. I don't feel... It's been this whole chapter. I've considered, can I possibly bear the mark of Cain? You know, Cain, it's so strange. He can't do good enough that God will reward him. But he can't do bad enough that God is going to let him get killed. You know, why? He had to learn, I guess, probably to surrender his will. But I couldn't do anything about the sticks of this world. I could do nothing. I had to eventually just decide, yeah, fuck it then. Whatever's happening. But also, the rewards in this world, I can't seem to get closer to, actually, this is happening in some regard. And there's a lot to look forward to still. But there's something that so I'm trying to just regain my composure or whatever. I'm not gonna let my mojo go down the drain. I'm not gonna numb my amygdala, you know? I'm not gonna become jaded and just refuse that there can be such a thing as romance or love or friendship in this world, you know? Anyway, that's what these people do. So the comedian, your inner comedian, you should be funny. You should have yourself a laugh at this world. This world is full of absurdities. How did I put that before? The absurdity becoming the truth, or the truth becoming absurd. That's comedy. That could be how it really is. It just it invokes laughter in you. Anyway, your inner comedian becomes corrupted by the outcome orientation of the salesman. Your inner philosopher, once again, one who cares about what is actually true, becomes corrupted by the interests of the lawyer. Your inner poet becomes corrupted by the politician who might play on your heartstrings. All oriented around not what is true, but what seems true. A cancer on society. They do a harm to themselves, and then they present themselves as the example of how to be. They're like vampires. They'll turn other liars. They'll turn the willful believer in the lie, because that's the person who's dominant. That's the person who's like posturing as extra capable and extra responsible. But by giving people, feeding the lowest nature of others around them, by giving them a sense of comfort in the idea that it's not their neck on the chop block, it's the most threatening leader, it's the most capable person who's not oriented around the popularity contest and becomes vulnerable for it, but in not being oriented around the popularity contest or the political infighting, they're not only vulnerable, but they're the extra capable person because they're not corrupted by that bullshit. We have to do something to stick up for them. We got to do something to stick up for, like, the people who orient around bearing the weight of truth. Another way that I have put this, if you literally, because you're going to think that cool, like, oh, desensitize the amygdala, that would be cool, that would be good, because you don't want to be triggerable or something. No, because it is at the core of you. You navigate, your mental cognition navigates these points in what you believe. You have to have belief. So down at the core, we're like a computer with the binary code and the ones and the zeros. We feel an either or, this way or that way, true or false. Do I believe it or not? Is this right or wrong? It's a feeling at the core. And you assholes who desensitize yourself and then look outward for the world to reward you for posturing. You get to look the smartest, but you ain't fucking smart. You guys are the dumbest ones, and you encourage others to be dumb too. You feed the lower nature of people, and then you take the example of the actual capable person, and you present that as the way to not be. While you present your shitty self as the way to be. So desensitizing the amygdala. Oh, well then you wouldn't be triggerable, because you see how the one who has maintained their emotionality in the comedian, the philosopher, and the poet, who's actually stupid enough to care, right? Because it's weak to care. that person is bearing the weight. It doesn't look like strength in the meantime. If I lift a weight, I tire myself. You're going to basically point at this person who's bearing the weight of the disturbing truth and putting themselves through the cognitive dissonance and challenging themselves down on that core level. Do I believe it or not? What is right? What is wrong? You're going to put up scarecrows and make them engage all this bullshit nonsense when they're the ones who are capable, and we need their mind basically on the problems that you want to only look like you care about. You guys don't care about nothing. You guys have literally quashed out your ability to care what is right and wrong. And then you've called it your strength. So you've avoided lifting the weight, but you always seem rested. You always seem strong, but by avoiding your exercise, you don't do the heavy lifting. So I don't know, have I said enough of this shit? Yeah. My little girlfriend out there, she's like this. She's intuitive, I guess you'd say. I think that these people are sensually oriented. I think that they're starting on the outside. They're going to their hippocampus. Instead of like solving the math equation, they're just copying the answer from somewhere. And then they're presenting themselves as our great leaders and our great thinkers. And then presenting to you the person who's actually going through the trouble of actually sorting out the equation and actually doing the work. They're going to point to that person as not knowing, when they're stronger for not knowing. Because they actually know that they don't know, and they actually do the work of trying to figure things out. So the amygdala, the intuitive, that person is the better driver. You motherfuckers with your big beautiful hippocampus need to get in the fucking passenger seat with your bigger map, your well drawn out map. You types who read the studies. I like a Mr. Dr. Professor Jordan Peterson. I like that asshole. I like these guys. I count on them. They're so an intellectual, which I don't like these guys. They've always been the problem in a lot of societies. Look at Georgy Gopon. Georgy Gopon. I don't know if these are hard G's or soft G's. Georgy Gopon. The father, I don't like that name either. Fucking priest, asshole priest. who... Am I going to make it back to where this tangent is hanging off of? Bloody Sunday. Have you heard of Bloody Sunday? Some things just stand out to me because I got the good amygdala. I got the good highlighter. These people didn't know how to read. They're all upset because Russia had been in this war with Japan and the people are impoverished, and Tsar Nicholas isn't even in the mansion or castle or whatever the fuck, and this fucking priest, this intellectual fucking priest, marches all these pissed off workers to the estate or castle or whatever fucking it is, and on a day when Tsar Nicholas isn't even there, which I bet damn well that intellectual priest, piece of shit, probably knew this and led all these people there, which with a letter that they thought was demands for better conditions, and ended up being a letter of revolt, and the Tsar not even being there, his guard opens fire on all these people, and to this day the numbers are, some say it was thousands and some say only so many. It's just a bunch of innocent people who first, they're driven into poverty, and then thinking they can do something about it, they get this shitty leader who's just gonna use their outrage, their rightful outrage, as a way to lead them into a massacre, and then make the king look bad, and then you did away with kings, except now they'll want kings back because they'll be their kings. I won't go down that road. The intuitive is the better driver. They operate the vehicle better. They look at the contours of the road in front of them. They might not have as good of a map. That's why you got assholes like Jordan, Dr. Mr. Professor fucking Peterson, and these intellectual types, who I actually like that guy. But I also see, I've called him Professor Doublespeak now and then. See, I think he's allowed to pretty much tell the truth most of the time now, but there are still times where he'll push he knows it's not right. He knows that he's literally flipping the thing around. Like, when I did my high performer thing, it is the non-politically oriented person, the person who's not thinking about their image, who wants to think about how you do the damn thing. That person becomes threatening because they're good at the damn thing, but also vulnerable. Instead, Jesuit assholes come along and say, oh, well, the reason the high performer gets rejected from the workplace is because they're obsessed with their image. That's literally why they're getting the axe, man. They're literally losing in the popularity contest. It sucks. Because the person who's obsessed with their image is really putting all their attention into not seeming weak. They're guarding that sense of not having developed. I'm telling you, that's what it is. Well, the intuitive needs to be the driver. The intuitor navigates the roads, the contours of the roads, the curves, the ins and the outs, and they're the better driver. Jordan Peterson needs to be over there holding the map. Jordan Peterson, so an intellectual, you need guys like that, because he says, you might almost find it offensive, but I know what he means. He's like, people don't know how bad it can get in an oppressive country. They don't do the reading. I've done the reading. There's some fucking survivor of the Holocaust, I don't know if we have many of those left anymore, but they hear that shit and they think, fuck your reading, you know? Like, they really went through it. They'll tell you about the conditions. But no, it's good that people do this reading, but you belong in the passenger seat. You are not supposed to be driving this vehicle. You don't know how. You hold the map. That's what you do. You know the answers that have been recorded throughout time, and that's really valuable. But you still need people who are actually not going to just mindlessly point to the doctrine or whatever and say that the order says this, the rule says that, so that's... You need people who actually think about it critically. You guys aren't the critical thinkers. So the intellectual type, did I even say what an intellectual technically is? They do give it to the people. They do the reading. That's really important. There are guys that will do that. Because when I read a study, I only read like the abstracts. But I ask the good question. I go after the good question. All this about the amygdala, that was all me. I want to know how it works, you know? I mean, there's something simple in understanding that, but it's not that fucking simple to unpack it. You gotta really volunteer for the cognitive dissonance. If I just was regurgitating what was there, you know how much easier that would be on me? But I had to actually fucking care, because people want to quash out my inner comedian, my inner philosopher, my inner poet, all oriented around what is rightfully true. So I'm not really a very good salesman or lawyer or politician. I'm really not. But, I mean, if the last shall be first, the first shall be last, let it be this that gets fixed. But it's hard to communicate. I think I've done as well as anybody that I'm hearing it from. It's hard to get this across. I mean, how do you train people on the ground level to not take the bait? This person's neck is on the chop block. It reminds me of this, okay? There's this video, and I don't know if this is still recording. I don't know how much space I got on here. Okay, it is still recording, good. Let's not make this last forever. You can think of this as an analogy for the behavior that takes place at your own office water cooler. And you also might wonder, who's actually the smart one here? Is it the baboons or the lions in this case? Are either of them smart? Oh yeah, I guess so. The baboons are hanging out by this water hole. So are these lions. The lions, you think that the baboons are smart, but the lions are smart too. The lions don't eat these baboons. First, it's probably not their preference, but they leave the baboons there thriving. So it looks all is jolly and well at the water hole. And then the antelope come along. And that's what the lions really have a taste for. And the baboons know what's up. They put themselves right out in the open. So to say, it's all good around here. There's no lions around here. And then all the antelope come, and then the lions strike on the antelope. But they're like licking their chops at these baboons in the meantime, you know. I'm the baboon, and Jordan Peterson is he's Zazu, you know? That pompous little fucking bird. Sorry. You know, the intellectual types. We need those guys. I'm not one of them. I'm not like that. I'm not a smart dude. I just care. I just fucking care. And you want it to be this source of weakness that a guy should care. Like it's weak to really have affection for someone or something. I don't get it. I don't really understand that. So, I don't have a marker, huh? Come on, don't I have a marker with me right here? I did do this before, but it makes enough sense to do it again. Oh, wait a minute, don't I have it drawn? Where's that board? Let me get my board and show you. Hey, I do. Alright, here's a different dry erase board. It's a little faded, but you're not smarter, you're not stronger to simply not care. Somehow apathy has become some kind of value in our society. Apathy becomes coolness somehow. Like, it's not cool to care about children being raped by people initiating powerful people into these groups by basically having them do something unspeakable, and now you got them in your fucking pocket because but only these weak, disaffected men care about that. Well, good thing fucking somebody does, because our fucking leaders don't. This marker sucks. Well, I actually need this too. When you're born, you don't know fucking nothing. Honeybees. Are you guys looking at my work before I can even release it? There, that's a nice marker. Honeybees know like all this fucking shit already when they come out of the womb. That's what I was gonna say. However they're born. And I see that in a nature video once. Did I even finish about the lions and shit? You know, it's just a good example of being a part of the privileged in-group, the baboons. Be better if we didn't have these in-groups and needing an out-group. If the lion could lay down with the antelope. We're not animals. We don't need someone on the bottom. We don't need someone to have their neck on the chop block. And then that it always becomes the high performer. How do you not expect big problems from that over time? So an infant is not like a honeybee. Those honeybees come out and they know all these dances and how to communicate with each other with their footsteps and stuff. How to say, there's some good pollen over there, bro. You know, and that's what that means somehow. They know how to do this. Go east, you know, however many meters, and I don't know how they're doing it. I don't think that we even have the best understanding how they can communicate so well, but they innately know all this shit. For the longest time, and there are other things, but for the longest time, the only two things that I knew a baby infant, a human infant, to come equipped with was their ability to cry or feed. They either feed or they cry for it. So we have to learn like everything. That means when you come out as an infant, you don't know nothing. Your emotionality is at a 10, and your rationality is at a 2. And your rationality, now here's what the sociopath will do. The sociopath will lie to motherfuckers. They'll lie their way, they'll orient around quashing out the comedian, philosopher, and poet, and basically feed their inner salesman, lawyer, and politician. Not that those are bad things, but they're outcome oriented. They care more what seems than what is actually true. That's your sociopath. They literally inhibit their emotionality. They desensitize their amygdala, which, once again, isn't just about your fight, flight, and freeze response. It's about your cognition. It's your ability to navigate the road. Your hippocampus holds the map. I got a couple different analogies. You might consider it, your hippocampus is your storehouse. Your hippocampus, it's like your library. Oh man, these privileged, intellectual, elitist, globalist, supremacists, they got the big, beautiful hippocampus. They got the big, beautiful library. But do they have a good librarian knowing their way around? That's your amygdala, man. So these shitty leaders, they really do kill that orientation around the truth, and they prioritize foremost their little popularity contest and their image and how they seem, and they thrive. Psychopath literally just doesn't really develop their rationality to meet their emotionality. But the well-rounded person raises their rationality to meet their emotionality. And I say you might even volunteer yourself for some emotional distress. I drink. It was the case. I'm going to have to lay off the coffee. I think that was part of what kind of... I got all stirred up about this woman. So... But I do like to intermittently fast, a lot of times until a brunch, right around the afternoon. And I might, stir up my emotionality. If I do my writing, I'm still, I'm pretty, inflappable or whatever. If I actually do my writing and raise my rationality to meet this increased emotionality about things that disturb me, the unfairness of the world, how I've seen it and how it gets perpetuated, how hard it is to get it across until people are actually in that position themselves. Because they're literally, that they refuse to end up in that position. Their fear of ending up in that position is what makes them act like this in the first place. So they'll prevent at all costs that they should end up being the one in that position. And it becomes too easy to say, why do you care? Like the apathy is the strength. Like it's weak to care. I'm sick of that, man. I mean, alright. Anyway, yeah, I stir up my anxieties and then I try to, if I actually do my writing, I remain inflappable. Is that the word I'm looking for? If I don't, and I just get myself, aroused about it, especially something I can't help, then, yeah, I might. I mean, I think that we pretty constantly are wavering between the behavior of a psychopath, which is the underdeveloped 2-year-old, that these people are pretending that they're not, the outcome-oriented sociopath, the calculating sociopath. I do have something interesting to say. I don't want to get too far off topics. So what I originally meant to present is that there is this inverted pyramid that we don't acknowledge it, and I think it might help if we first of all acknowledged it, because these people who get sold out by the shit leader, who's really just oriented around the outcomes and their appearances, and does appeal to the worst in others in the group to give them a sense of comfort and belonging, but on the basis of this person or that person not belonging, who is honestly, it's the better, more fit, more capable leader. Probably the person who doesn't want to be the leader, probably the person not after the power, but the most capable and probably the most fit to lead. That's, I think, often enough it would be the case. If not, they're just a good performer and you shouldn't be messing with them in the first place. Just keep them happy in their work. They derive their happiness from their work, not from the idea of defeating a political opponent. So I feel like it would help if we understood that the person on the bottom of the pyramid is too often, we wouldn't let them be in the middle. They're not that. They're not this common thing. They should be up here on the top of the thing, I think, very often. They're threatening because they're capable, but they're vulnerable because they're only oriented around being and doing good instead of seeming it. They get picked out. I guess I said enough, and I don't like making these long-ass videos. I wonder if I should be making these videos. What about me? I care about me at this point. Do I need to somehow nurture my salesman, lawyer, and politician? I just kind of can't give a fuck about that. I really care. I just feel like wherever it leads, it's like train tracks. The means is the truth. Just because there's all this work to be done there. It's not the same as honesty. Truth is more complex than honesty. Truth requires an actual appetite for uncovering it. So I feel like that's the name of the game, to discern what is rightfully true. And I don't know where it's going to end up. I hope it's not like this. I hope that this truth teller did it for us, like they say. Because look what happened to the apostles. What would Jesus do? Jesus would walk his path until he ended up nailed to a cross. That's what Jesus would do. Do you really want to do what Jesus would do? That's why I really appreciate David. God came through for David. Thank God. I've thanked God in prayer literally for coming through for David. Because if he didn't do that, what does it mean to be an honest person? Your prey? Your prey animal? It's supposed to be the antelope that get... See, that's the herd. Whatever. Hey. I mean, I don't know. I've tried. But, okay, for me and for my own sake, I don't know if this channel is what I should be doing. I don't know if I've only made myself look like a stupid asshole. I would think that if there were any money in it for me, if I could ever get my career and my woman, then I better get some money, and this probably isn't the way to do that. And I think that my more refined product can probably do that, but I don't know where to go with any of it. And then in the meantime, without always releasing a lot, at least I can brush on the ideas here, and it doesn't have to seem this perfectly refined product. I can just ramble and rant, and hopefully the ideas get to the right people and not the shit people. You guys have to look at yourselves acting like shit people, you know, when I say, you have to see yourself do what I fucking say you do, hating motherfuckers. You gotta watch yourself acting like I fucking said you do. You gotta be living in that pattern that I said you fucking live in. So that would suck, because I can look at myself and I know my sins, first of all. I'm not like nose blind to my own stench like some of you. I know my misdeeds. They're not so heavy, but there are times when I can count these things, because I've gone looking. You know, what have I done wrong? What haven't I done right? You know, I've wanted to know. You guys don't even want to know. You guys just want to believe that. You guys want to hide behind having your children. You want to hide behind your children and say that qualifies your righteousness. Using your children. Cowards. All right. So, time to end this, but there's an inverted, you can see yourself do it. The judger is worse than the judged, especially nowadays, in this privileged society. We are born of generation after generation after generation of cooperative behavior. The idea that people are running around, that you're going to find a monster in another human being, you're the monster for finding that. It's just not, that just isn't the way to see each other. You're being the problem, but since you have someone who is a problem, you don't even see that you're doing that. The judge is worse than the judge. Satan is the accuser. To fixate on the splinter in your neighbor's eye is to ignore the plank in your own. Some smart truth teller before me said some of that.